The discourse around Islam and women's rights is often fraught with tension and misunderstanding. Critics often portray Islam as inherently oppressive to women. They point to practices like veiling and gender segregation as evidence. However, this perspective ignores the rich history of Islamic scholarship and activism that challenges these very interpretations. A new generation of scholars and activists are reclaiming the narrative. They are offering a more nuanced understanding of Islam's teachings on gender. This movement, known as Traditionalist Islamic Feminism, seeks to promote women's rights within the framework of Islamic tradition. Traditionalist Islamic feminism distinguishes itself from secular feminism. It grounds its arguments in the foundational texts of Islam, the Quran and the Sunnah, the Prophet Muhammad's teachings and practices. It emphasizes the importance of contextual interpretation. Traditionalist Islamic feminists argue that many of the discriminatory practices often attributed to Islam are, in fact, cultural interpretations that have been imposed upon the religion over time. This movement is not about blindly adhering to tradition. It acknowledges the need for reinterpreting Islamic teachings in light of modern realities. Traditionalist Islamic feminists believe that Islam, at its core, is a religion of justice and equality. They strive to reclaim that vision by engaging with Islamic jurisprudence and theology. The Quran, revealed over 1400 years ago, introduced radical changes to the status of women in 7th century Arabia. It unequivocally affirmed the equality of men and women in the eyes of God. The Quran states, "Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life." Quran 16:97. This verse clearly establishes that piety and righteous actions, not gender, are the criteria for God's favor. Furthermore, the Quran granted women unprecedented rights in areas such as inheritance, property ownership, and divorce. It recognized women's agency and autonomy, challenging the prevailing patriarchal norms of the time. The Prophet Muhammad's life and teachings provide further evidence of Islam's emphasis on gender justice. The Prophet treated women with utmost respect and dignity. He consulted them on important matters. He encouraged their participation in religious and social spheres. The Prophet's wives, known as the mothers of the believers, were not confined to domestic roles. They were active participants in the early Muslim community. They played a crucial role in transmitting the Prophet's teachings and shaping the nascent Islamic society. Their example serves as a powerful reminder of the potential for women's leadership within an Islamic framework. Navigating the texts. Methodology and interpretation. Traditionalist Islamic feminists emphasize the importance of understanding the historical and social context in which the Quran and Sunnah were revealed. They argue that many verses and hadiths, or sayings of the Prophet, that seem to limit women's rights were revealed in specific contexts to address specific issues. They should not be interpreted as absolute or timeless injunctions. These scholars employ rigorous methodologies of textual analysis to uncover the underlying principles and values behind Islamic teachings. They draw upon the rich tradition of Islamic jurisprudence, which allows for flexibility and adaptation in applying Islamic law to changing circumstances. Champions of change, pioneers of the movement. Traditionalist Islamic feminism is not merely a theoretical exercise. It is a vibrant movement spearheaded by courageous women and men who are challenging the status quo and advocating for gender justice within their communities. These individuals come from diverse backgrounds and represent a spectrum of perspectives within the Muslim world. However, they are united in their commitment to reclaiming the egalitarian spirit of Islam. Let's explore the contributions of 4 prominent figures who have made significant strides in advancing the cause of traditionalist Islamic feminism. Dr. Zainab Al-Ghazali, Dr. Hidayat Nur Wahid, Dr. Nadia Yassin, and Dr. Fethullah Gulen. Zainab Al-Ghazali, a legacy of activism and scholarship. Dr. Zainab Al-Ghazali, who lived from 1917 to 2005, was an Egyptian activist and scholar who dedicated her life to empowering Muslim women. A towering figure in the Islamic revivalist movement of the 20th century, Al-Ghazali combined unwavering faith with a fierce commitment to social justice. She founded the Muslim Women's Association in Egypt in 1936. It provided religious education, social services, and vocational training to women. Al-Ghazali's scholarship focused on reinterpreting Islamic texts from a feminist perspective. She argued that Islam granted women equal rights to men. Cultural practices and misinterpretations of Islamic teachings had led to women's subjugation. Her work inspired generations of Muslim women to reclaim their rightful place in society. Hidayat Nur Wahid championing women's rights in Indonesia. Dr. Hidayat Nur Wahid is an Indonesian politician and Islamic scholar. He has been a vocal advocate for women's rights and gender equality. As a former chairman of the Indonesian Ulama Council, the country's highest Islamic authority, he issued fatwas supporting women's right to education, employment, and political participation. Nur Wahid argues that empowering women is not only a matter of social justice, it is also crucial for the economic and social progress of Muslim societies. He believes that Islam provides a framework for achieving gender equality that respects cultural values while upholding the principles of justice and compassion. Nadia Yassin, a voice for change in Morocco. Dr. Nadia Yassin is a Moroccan writer, activist, and Islamic feminist. She is the daughter of Sheikh Abdeslam Yassin, the founder of the Moroccan Islamist movement Justice and Spirituality. Nadia Yassin has emerged as a leading voice for reform within the movement. She advocates for a more progressive interpretation of Islam that embraces democracy, human rights, and gender equality. Yassin argues that true Islamic piety requires fighting for social justice and challenging all forms of oppression, including gender-based discrimination. She has been a vocal critic of the Moroccan family code, known as the Mudawana. She has called for reforms to grant women equal rights in marriage, divorce, and child custody. Fethullah Gulen, promoting education and interfaith dialogue. Dr. Fethullah Gulen is a Turkish Islamic scholar and preacher. He advocates for interfaith dialogue, education, and a moderate interpretation of Islam. Gulen emphasizes the importance of educating girls and women. He sees it as a key to unlocking the potential of Muslim societies. He has inspired the establishment of hundreds of schools and universities around the world. These institutions provide quality education to students from all backgrounds, with a particular focus on empowering girls. Gulen believes that Islam promotes a harmonious balance between faith and reason. He encourages Muslims to engage with modern science, philosophy, and social sciences to address the challenges of the 21st century. His teachings have resonated with millions of people worldwide. They offer a message of hope, tolerance, and respect for human dignity. Balancing tradition and modernity, a new paradigm for Muslim women. Traditionalist Islamic feminism offers a compelling vision for Muslim women in the 21st century. It seeks to reconcile tradition and modernity. It argues that women can embrace their faith while also advocating for their rights. This movement challenges both conservative interpretations of Islam that seek to restrict women's roles and secular feminist perspectives that often view religion as inherently oppressive. The road ahead for traditionalist Islamic feminists is not without its challenges. They face opposition from conservative elements within their communities. These elements view their efforts as a threat to established norms. They also encounter skepticism from some secular feminists. These feminists question whether true equality is possible within the framework of religion. Despite these hurdles, traditionalist Islamic feminism continues to gain momentum. It offers a powerful counter-narrative to the dominant discourse on Islam and women's rights. By grounding their arguments in the foundational texts of Islam and engaging in rigorous scholarship, traditionalist Islamic feminists are paving the way for a more just and equitable future for Muslim women around the world.